Part of the stories we told you yesterday is what we're going to be staying on today as a major story that a lot of people are talking about. Is that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has returned the name of a former governor of Central Bank, Professor Charles Soludo, of the All Progressives Grand Alliance to the list of the candidates for the Anambra governorship election. The commission said it followed a judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano Division, on the leadership of APGA and on the nomination of candidates for the Anambra governorship election. However, obviously missing is the People's Democratic Party, which is not represented on that list. Let's get to hear more on this and perhaps so much more about the preparations for that governorship election in Anambra State, the continuous voter registration, and a few other issues. I'm being joined on the program tonight by the National Commissioner of INEC, Mr. Festus Okoye, who joins us from our Abuja studio. It's a great pleasure to have you tonight, Mr. Okoye. Let's begin first and foremost from the ones that we did not see. Then we'll discuss the one that we saw. PDP is a name, one of Nigeria's major main opposition party, who was not represented on that list. Is there any reason for that?
Well, the list we released is not the final list of candidates in relation to the Anambra governorship election. The list that we released relates to the provisions of Section 35 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. By Section 33 of the Electoral Act, political parties are at liberty to substitute the names of the candidates they submitted before on two grounds. One, if the candidate they submitted his or her name passed on, or the candidate whose name was submitted voluntarily withdraws from the race and then informs the political party that nominated him in writing that he or she has withdrawn. In such instances, the political party that nominated him is at liberty to forward to the Independent National Electoral Commission the name of a new person. So the list we released yesterday is the list of political parties that did this substitution. Those who substituted their governorship candidates and deputy governorship candidates, or those who substituted only the governorship candidates or the deputy governorship candidates, and so on. So that was the list we released yesterday. Secondly, the list also contains the name of the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance and that of the deputy. This is because prior to this particular period, the Independent National Electoral Commission published the name of another individual as the governorship candidate. But based on the court, on the judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano Judicial Division, we had to return the name of Professor Soludo as the governorship candidate of the APGA. That was why the name appeared on the list we released yesterday.
Since you said that this is not going to be the last, and maybe because of maybe not because of your process, but because of court processes and the judgments that keep coming, you might have to review and review over again, because you have mentioned to us on this program a few times that INEC will follow the judgment, we will obey court orders, we will obey court judgment, and therefore it does look like we're seeing more of this judgment coming over and over again. Is INEC aware of what happened yesterday in relation to APGA in Owerri High Court? What came out of that session yesterday? Are you aware? Could that have affected your further decision?
No. You see, if you look at Section 287, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, which is the fundamental law of the land, which is the ground norm, it provides specifically that the decisions of the Court of Appeal shall be enforced in any part of the Federation by all authorities and persons, and by courts with subordinate jurisdiction to that of the Court of Appeal. Now, if you look at the judgment of the Kano Division of the Court of Appeal, they were very, very clear. The judgment was to the effect that the entire proceedings and the judgment of the trial court, including the consequential orders that were made by that particular court and the reliefs granted therein, are vitiated for being a nullity and therefore void. And the judgment from the Jigawa State High Court that sat in Birnin Kudu was the genesis, was the base of some of these things that are going on. And the Court of Appeal has made it very clear that for you to assume jurisdiction in relation to some of these issues, you must have both substantive and territorial jurisdiction to do that. So as far as the Commission is concerned, we have a judgment from the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal is superior to other subordinate courts. So we have obeyed the judgment of the Court of Appeal. We cannot set aside the judgment of the Court of Appeal and then go to obey the judgment or orders from an inferior court, in this instance from either a federal high court or from a state high court. So we are on firm grounds in doing what we have done.
It's interesting because we're talking to a lawyer, a senior lawyer at that, Mr. Okoye, and so of course we know you're giving us the position of the law in that regard. But the big question on the minds of a lot of people is, how does INEC handle all of these conflicting court orders? And I've had conversations with you and some of your colleagues in INEC on the issue of conflicting court orders and how it affects the election itself. I'm aware there are conversations on how we can operate our election process such that court judgment or court orders will not affect the process. What do you make of this, and how is INEC handling all of these court decisions?
Well, fundamentally, the law provides that no court of law in Nigeria has the virus or the power to stop the primaries of a political party from taking place, or from stopping a general election, or the processes leading to a general election. So the courts are aware of this challenge. But you know, what is going on is what in legal parlance we call forum shopping. People who are looking for a place where they can get a favorable decision, and that's why people will go to for party primaries that took place in Anambra, for instance. Some people will go to Bauchi State, some people will go to Jigawa State, some people will go to Anambra State, to Imo State, and to other places to go and look for a place where they can get a favorable decision. But fundamentally, Section 285 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has defined what we mean by a pre-election matter. And a pre-election matter can only be filed by an aspirant in the party primary elections, or by a political party that complains that any of the decisions of the Independent National Electoral Commission, or that the Electoral Act has been breached, and so on and so forth. So I believe that it is important for the Bar Association and for the judiciary to intervene in what is going on, because if this spate of forum shopping, if this spate of multiple and conflicting court orders is carried forward to the 2023 general election, is going to be very, very, is going to have far-reaching consequences on our electoral process. So I think that all the institutions that are concern must intervene, and courts must not donate their jurisdiction, donate their forum for people who are engaged in forum shopping. By so doing, some persons may, at the end, bring the institution of the judiciary to disrepute, and that will not augur well for our democracy and for our electoral process.
So, and a question is that, is there a penalty for what some may have seen as legal infractions in the mode and the manner in which they go in this forum shopping? Is there a penalty under the law or in any of the community of laws against this kind of activities, which is perpetrated majorly by politicians, isn't it, and aided by lawyers?
Well, for those of us who are lawyers, we know that it's unethical for you to go forum shopping, for you to go and try to get a court to assume jurisdiction that it does not have. So that is at the level of a professional misconduct. But at the level of the judiciary, you know, it's the National Judicial Council that has jurisdiction over unethical conduct or over a breach of judicial norms against judicial officers. But in relation to the politicians, I believe that a court properly constituted and a court that knows its onions will not donate its jurisdiction for people to abuse it. If a party primary has taken place in Anambra State and somebody moves to Borno State to go and ventilate or litigate a matter involving a party primary that has taken place in Anambra State, and the court knows that such a person was never an aspirant in the party primaries, it's not a political party that participated in the party in the primaries, the court can on its own suo motu raise the issue and either send the case back to Anambra State or strike the matter out. So I believe that our courts of law must be proactive in making sure that we protect the institution of the judiciary from abuse by those who are looking for a favorable forum and favorable outcome, and therefore they go forum shopping.
What is the position of PDP? Because it does look like they've been declared without identity as far as Anambra governorship election is concerned. In terms of the leadership, in terms of where they stand as a party to contest for this election, where do they stand in the eyes of the umpire?
Well, you know, in relation to the PDP, what happened was that the PDP as a political party uploaded the name and personal particulars of a particular candidate to have a nomination portal. And that was the candidate whose name the commission published. Then thereafter, there was also another court judgment urging and directing the PDP as a political party to submit the name of a different individual or a different candidate as the candidate of the party. Now, the PDP did not submit the name of that particular individual, and we cannot publish the name unless the PDP submits the name of that particular individual. But thereafter, the matter went to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal, one, granted accelerated hearing in relation to the matter involving the PDP and its candidates, and then also asked the Independent National Electoral Commission not to publish the name of any of the candidates pending the final determination of the matter before the Court of Appeal. So when the Court of Appeal makes a final determination in relation to the matter, then we will know whether the PDP has a candidate in the election. But if towards the end, when we are about to publish the final list of candidates and the matters have not been resolved, we will just impute PDP as a political party on the list without publishing the name of any of the candidates. So that's where we are in relation to the PDP.
For the benefit of our viewers tonight, can you tell us the deadline? Because all of these are majorly pre-election matters. Can you tell us the deadline for this kind of situation to end before INEC takes its final decision on the candidates' names?
Well, as things stand now, the decision relating to who is the candidate of any of the political parties is completely outside the purview and outside the control of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, Section 285 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gives the High Court, the Federal High Court, and the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory a total of 180 days to make a determination relating to pre-election matters. And these pre-election matters must be filed within a period of 14 days from the period of the accrual of the course of action. Then thereafter, when the matter goes to the Court of Appeal, whoever is appealing has a total of 14 days within which to appeal from the date of the judgment. And the Court of Appeal has 60 days within which to hear and make a determination and deliver its judgment in relation to the appeal. And then the appeal can also terminate at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court also has 60 days within which to do all these things. So if these things don't end within the period slated for the conduct of the elections. We will simply go ahead with the election and then leave the political party on the ballot. If the party wins on the ballot and then finally the Supreme Court determines the matter, then we will declare the candidate as having been duly elected. So we are just following the law and we are following the Constitution.
As cumbersome and as complicated it may sound, it does look like INEC know what to do, but it's all of these the complications coming from the courtroom and what politicians are doing before now. So for the benefit of our viewers, let's show you again what some of these names are. So far, it's only 12 political parties INEC have published so far for now, because they say it might change, and definitely it looks like it will change from what Mr. Okoye had told us, from Party A to AA, AAC, ADP, APC, ABGA, and APM, NRM, PRP, SDP, YPP, and ZLP. Those are the political parties officially named or listed to contest in the November 6th governorship election in Anambra State. But let's go into a very important aspect of this election, which was an event that started on the 9th, I guess, which is a campaign of the political parties for this election. INEC was making propositions when the amendment of the law, the Electoral Act, came up, the debate and the conversation around it came up. But there is a window, there are guidelines on campaign financing, campaign activity, and what the political parties need to do. Can you tell us, from what we have seen, because I know that come out to say, look, the political parties are doing the wrong thing, they are not supposed to do this, they're not supposed to do that. What are your biggest headache when it comes to campaigns of political parties in such an election like this?
Yeah, just permit me, before I answer your question, to make just a very fundamental clarification. There are some political parties that are contesting this Anambra governorship election whose names are not on the list we published yesterday. The political parties that did not substitute either their governorship candidate or their deputy governorship candidates, their names are not on this list because they don't have any issue. There are only two political parties that have issues in relation to this. That was the All Progressive Grand Alliance, and we have, based on the judgment of the Court of Appeal, we have imputed the name of their governorship candidate on the list, and the PDP. So the other parties whose names are not here are still contesting the election. The only thing is that they didn't make any substitution. So at the end of the day, when we publish the final list of candidates contesting the elections, their names will also be published. So they are free to go about campaigning because they didn't do any substitution. So their names should not be on this list because this list was published in compliance with Section 35 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, which obligates the Commission to accept the list from political parties when a candidate withdraws and there's some level of substitution. So having said that...
sorry, which of the political parties are these? Can you tell us?
I think that one of the biggest...
Sorry, which of the political parties are these ones that you said were not listed aside ABGA and PDP? What are these political parties?
Well, you know, the 18 political parties in Nigeria conducted party primary elections and are contesting election in relation to the governorship election in Anambra. So any name, any of the political parties whose names you don't see on this particular list is contesting the election. The only political party that we cannot reveal the name of the candidate as at now is the PDP, based on the order of the Court of Appeal that said that no, the name of that we should not publish the name of any of the candidates. But every other political party, so any political party whose name is not on this particular list is on the ballot for the purposes of the election in Anambra State. I cannot give you the name of the political parties offered, but their names, they are contesting this election since they didn't make any substitution in relation to their governorship or deputy governorship candidates.
Okay, so you can go ahead and tell us your biggest headache or fears about the campaigns of the political parties which started a few days ago, on the 9th, I guess, of August.
Well, we are positive that the campaigns will be conducted in a manner that defies the electoral process, and also in a manner that makes people go out for these campaigns in a very, very safe environment. We are in a very unusual situation. Unusual situation in the sense that the Independent National Electoral Commission must conduct this particular election because these are elections we say are constitutionally circumscribed and must be conducted within a particular time frame. Since the time frame prescribed by the Constitution are cast in stone and cannot be moved. They are like the Rock of Gibraltar that cannot be moved. So we expect political parties to conduct their campaigns in a manner that people are safe, and also in a manner that does not raise unnecessary tension, given the fact that there's a high level of insecurity in the country. So we expect political parties to understand that Nigeria is that things are not really too well, especially in terms of the security challenges and security situation in the country. But hopefully, we are hopeful that we are not going to experience any serious security breach in Anambra. So if what they do is to go to the court and ventilate their grievances rather than taking the laws into their hands, I think that will be much, much better for the electoral process. So the high level of insecurity, especially in Nigeria and in other parts of the country, is a major challenge, and we expect people to understand this challenge and also work within the confines of the rule of law and due process and not do anything that will raise unnecessary tension in the country.
We most sincerely thank you tonight, Mr. Festus Okoye. I thought that we might be able to touch on the CVR, but I guess we'll do that some other time. But it's good that you've given clarification on some of this issue, and perhaps the next time we have opportunity to speak with you, you'll also be telling us about the enlisting and delisting of political parties in Nigeria. Those are very interesting conversations that a lot of Nigerians are interested in. Thank you so much, Mr. Festus Okoye, the National Commissioner of INEC in charge of voter education and publicity. Appreciate your coming tonight.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, two national chairmen of some opposition political parties in Nigeria will join me on the program, Mr. Bishop Amakri and Mr. Ralph Unwosu, on opposition politics, the 2023, and the state of the nation. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back.